Hi everyone, and thank you for your interest in my videos. In this tutorial, we're going to learn how to create this lower third animation. Let's take a look. Okay, to get started, I'm going to create a new composition. You can go to Composition and click on New Composition, or you can click on this icon right here to create a new composition. So when I do that, this is what I see. I'm going to rename my composition to lower third. The settings that you see right here are basically the settings that were saved from my previous composition that I was working with. So these settings are from my previous composition. I have 1920, 1080, frame rate is 30, and duration is 8 seconds. That is okay. So click on OK. So now this is my new composition. It's called lower third. And I'm going to start by creating two text layers, one for the first name, John, and another layer for the last name, Brown. So I'm going to start by clicking on the type tool, and I'm going to use the font Montserrat Bold, and I'm going to use 110. And then I'm going to type John in caps. So this is John. So a layer has already been created, and I'm going to click on this layer and hit Control D, Control D on my keyboard to duplicate it. So this is a duplication. I'm going to hit Enter while it's selected. While the layer is selected, I'm going to hit Enter on my keyboard to rename it to Brown. Okay, then I'm going to hit P on my keyboard to bring the P position. And then I'm going to move this second layer that I created over a little bit to the right. So now we have two Johns. So I'm going to select this second John. I want it to be brown. So I'm going to write brown in its place. And I'm going to select it again and change the size. No, I'm keeping the same size. I'm going to change the color to some nice brown, some nice blue color. So let's see. Yeah, that's a nice color. Okay, so then I'm going to create another layer for the title. So type tool is selected. I'm going to write content creator. I'm going to select this whole content creator by hitting Control A, and I want this one to be regular. I want it 45 pixels, and I want it white. Okay, so then select this layer and move it up to just about here. Okay, so now we want brown to come from the right side. So what we're going to do now is that I'm going to create a shape layer. Make sure nothing is selected. I'm going to use this rectangle tool to create a rectangle on top of brown. So make sure you cover it nicely all around, all the way around. So a shape layer has automatically been created, and I'm going to hit Enter to rename this to Brown Mask. So this is going to be our mask, and we want it to be right above brown. For it to work, it has to be right above the layer that we want to mask. And the brown layer for the track matte, and if you don't see this track matte, you click somewhere on this bar, you right click on it, go to columns and make sure modes is selected. So here I don't see it, so I right click columns, modes. Now I see track matte. So we want the track matte to be alpha matte. So when we do that, when we choose alpha matte, this means that brown, the word brown only appears as long as it's within this shape layer that we created. Anywhere else, you cannot see brown. It only appears if it's within this shape layer that we drew. So I'm going to hit Control Z to undo and bring it back to its position. Okay, so now let's create some keyframes for brown. So I'm going to click on the brown layer, hit P for position, go to 1 second by typing 100 to go to 1 second on the timeline. And at 1 second, I want brown to be exactly where it is right now. So I'm going to click on the stopwatch to create a keyframe. And then I'm going to move back in time to 0. And I'm going to move brown over to the right because I want it to appear from the right. Now, as I change the value, notice that a keyframe is automatically created for you on the timeline because we changed the value. So I'm going to keep moving it over to just about here, just outside of this shape that we drew. Okay, so now we have two keyframes on our timeline. I'm going to select both of them, and I'm going to right click, go to Keyframe Assistant, Easy Ease. Or you can click F9 on your keyboard to easy ease them. So this makes the animation smoother. Then I'm going to go to the graph editor, and let me just zoom in a little bit here. So you can see I'm going to select this keyframe, and I'm going to push this handle, drag this yellow handle inward. So now we have our animation starts out fast and then it slows down at the end. So let's see what we have so far. So now we have created this animation, brown coming in from the right. Okay, now let's do the same thing to John. We want John to appear from the right, from brown. So let's create a shape layer. Make sure nothing is selected. Click outside to make sure nothing is selected. And I'm going to cover John right here a little bit, right by where brown is. Okay, and I have my fill to white, stroke nothing. Stroke is none. So a shape layer was automatically created for us. I'm going to hit enter on my keyboard and rename this shape layer to John Mask. Now I have to move this mask to right on top of John. So you drag it to right above where John is, and John is going to have an alpha matte. Our alpha matte is a John mask. So at 1 second, we want the animation to start on John. So let's go to 2 seconds. At 2 seconds, we want hit P for position on John. At 2 seconds, we want John to be right here. So I'm going to click on the stopwatch to create a keyframe right here. Then I'm going to move back to 100 And I'm going to move John over to the right because that's where it's going to appear from. So right behind Brown, right here. So let's see. So we have Brown and then John. Okay. So let's select both keyframes and hit F9 on your keyboard or go to Keyframe Assistant, Easy Ease. Go to the Graph Editor, do the same thing, select this keyframe and drag the yellow handle inward. Not too much. Okay, so now let's do the same thing with Content Creator. We want Content Creator to come from the right side. Now I want to go back to my animation that I created, my original animation, and see when did I have Content Creator. Okay, so just when John took its original position, Content Creator started to. Okay, so just about around, yeah, okay, so let's do it around 2 seconds. And I'm going to create, nothing is selected. I'm going to cover Content Creator with another shape, rectangular shape, to mask it. Okay, so hit enter, rename it to Content Creator Mask. And it's already right above Content Creator. I'm gonna choose Track Matte, Alpha Matte. And I'm going to so perhaps just about 220. Okay, just about 220. We want Content Creator to be here. So hit P on your keyboard to bring up the P position. Click on the stopwatch to create a keyframe. Then oh, actually, yeah, and then go back to 2. Go back to 2 and change the position of Content Creator to right here. Okay. Select both keyframes. Easy ease them. Go to the Graph Editor. Okay, so now let's see what we have so far. Okay, nice. So now I'm going to enable motion blur for John. This is a motion blur right here. Makes it look nicer. So for John, for Brown, and for Content Creator. So now let's see with the motion blur. So you notice the motion blur right here. Yeah, you see the motion blur. Let's see. Good. Okay. Yep. Okay. So now now we're done with the animation. Now we just have to reverse it. Let me see in my original animation which one. Okay, so John goes out first, then Content Creator. Okay. So we want John. So I'm going to hit U on my keyboard to see the keyframes for John that we created. Then I'm going to go to probably about 4 seconds. So let's hit 400. Let's type 400 here, go to 4 seconds. Then I'm going to select these keyframes, Control C on my keyboard to copy them. And where my timeline indicator is at 4 seconds, I'm going to hit Control V to paste them. So they are pasted right at the start of my time indicator. I'm going to zoom out so you can see. Then I'm going to right click on these keyframes. They are already selected because they are blue. And I'm going to go to Keyframe Assistant, time, and click on Time Reverse Keyframes. Then, um, then we want Content Creator to go out next. So hit U on my keyboard. So right after John goes out, disappears from the screen, we want to Content Creator to start disappearing. So select both keyframes for Content Creator, Control C to copy, and then Control V to paste. Right click, Keyframe Assistant, Time Reverse Keyframe, and then move over to just about here, or perhaps right there. We want brown to start disappearing at that time. So brown, hit U, and I'm going to select these two keyframes, copy them, and right where the timeline is, make sure you have brown selected so it pastes on the right layer. And then right here we pasted, right click, Keyframe Assistant, Time Reverse Keyframe. And now let's watch our animation. That's it. So we are done with this tutorial. And if you liked it, if you like this video and you learned something, then please like and subscribe so I would make more video tutorials for you. Thank you and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.